Hi, students. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well and really enjoying the cooler weather. It's so cool today, but still sunny. So on the screen, I hope you're seeing this really cute little squirrel, and in his mouth he has a nut. And today we're going to be talking about this expression, hard nuts to crack, and what that expression means, and also some other English expressions. And I like this because this comes from that website, Voice of America. And so I can send you the link and you can listen to this as many times as you need to. Actually, English has a lot of expressions that are difficult to understand. And we can call those expressions hard nuts to crack. English can be a hard nut to crack. And what that means is that it's difficult to understand. So before we actually get too much into this actual story, let's look at some of the words that you're going to see and give you some new vocabulary. All right, so the words in the story are words that you'll be able to use in lots of different contexts. And when we meet together over Zoom, we will try to put these words in paragraphs and sentences too. So let's see what these words mean. Some you will know and some might be new to you. Okay, so the first word is source. This word here, source. This is a noun. If you are saying something and somebody wants to know, where did you learn that? They might ask you, they might say, what's the source? Who told you that? What's your source? So they're asking you for the thing, something, or someone that gave you that information, okay? So your source might be a dictionary. Your source could be a person that told you the information. We just want to know what is the source. All right, now, remember we said we're going to be talking about things that are confusing. So here's the word confusing. Confusing. So confusing is an adjective, and it means hard to understand. Lots of things are confusing. So between now and Thursday or Friday, when we meet for Zoom, you might think about what is confusing to you right now. Now, another word for confusing means the same as confusing. It's a synonym. So two words that mean the same thing are called synonyms. Is perplexing. If you find yourself saying confusing, oh, it's confusing. This is confusing. You can say, oh, this is perplexing. I find that so perplexing. Okay? It also means it's just hard to understand, difficult to understand. I find grammar in German difficult to understand. Maybe you find English grammar hard to understand. Now, if something is difficult, instead of saying, teacher, this is so difficult, you can say this is tough. It's tough. Means difficult, okay? Hard to do. Okay, so it doesn't just mean a task like doing something in school. It can also be maybe you are having to work many hours. I know one of my students, she's not in this class, but she's in my level 5 class, and her husband now is having to work very long hours. And that is that is tough. Okay, you are tired. And Mohammed, I know you are working also at night, and then during the day, you are helping your children with their school. That is also tough because you have to do it day and day and day. This is very tough. The next word, this might be a new word for you, riddle. Or maybe you have heard it, okay? This riddle is also like the word puzzle, okay? This can be a puzzling question to be solved, or maybe you answer it by guessing, okay? Maybe someone gives you a clue to this. Riddle can also be a kind of a joke. I'm going to show you some riddles. I made some on a Word document. Sometimes you will find whole books full of riddles that children that are sometimes maybe in second grade, third grade, they like this kind of joke. But sometimes a riddle, you can just say, oh, I don't know. This is a riddle. We don't really have an answer for this. It is a riddle. We will have to just try to find an answer. I don't know. So riddle and enigma are a little bit the same because this is also something hard to understand, hard to explain. That is this word, enigma. Enigma. Something very hard to understand, hard to explain. Okay, maybe there is some strategy somebody is using some strategy to play a game of chess, maybe, and you are like, I can't really explain what they are doing. It is an enigma. All right, this next one, intention. Intention. This means your goal, okay, or your plan, what you want to achieve, what you want to accomplish. What is your purpose? Okay, maybe your purpose is to improve your English. That's your intention. All right. Now, this next word you have probably heard if you watch the Weather Channel or if you listen to the weather on television, forecast. Okay, because the weather people look at all their information and then they try to tell you what will the weather be tomorrow, right? Now, they cannot promise you tomorrow weather. They don't know for sure. They are not God. They are not Allah. They do not know, right? Okay, but they look at all the information. They try to make the best guess, the best forecast that they can do. They try to predict. So forecast is to say what will happen in the future after you look at all the information that you have. Okay, this is the last word, key. Okay, you know what a key is to go into your house or to start your car. Well, key can also mean something that is very important. For example, if we are talking about coronavirus, then they might say right now, it is key for everyone to wear a mask, meaning that is something that is really important for people to socially distance and to wear a mask. That is extremely important to try to get the numbers of coronavirus down so we can control how many people have the virus and try to stop the spread of the virus. All right, now let's go up and look at our story. These stories that are called words and their stories give sort of the history of how words and phrases started. So I'm going to start the reading on this, but then I'm going to let you know that you can listen to this on your own. So you see the little squirrel and you see he's got his nut, right? And these are nuts that are still in that hard shell, right? You can see the shell on that nut. And this is an actual picture of a squirrel that's in Russia. And in Russia, it's very cold. That's why there's already snow. All right. So during autumn, we are in autumn right now in Texas. During autumn, in many parts of the United States, you can watch squirrels gathering nuts for the winter. And the squirrel puts the nut in its mouth and it runs to a place that it considers safe. And it digs a hole and it drops the food in the ground. Hopefully the animal will remember where it hid the nut weeks later. And all the while they do this, they look really funny. But it seems like the wise or the smart thing to do, because nuts are really a healthy food source. Remember, source was the place where they got something. They are really healthy food source. They provide healthy fats and nutrients. That is, if you can break off that shell, that hard outer part, the part inside is healthy. The part of the nut that we eat is protected by the shell, or we say the nutshell. And that word is the basis for the common saying, there's a saying, in a nutshell. The expression, in a nutshell, means to provide details in a short statement. So I give you all the information about something in just a short summary, okay? A short statement. I give you information in a nutshell. So I am describing the important parts of something in just a few words. We call this a summary. And that is the definition of in a nutshell. So if I ask you to tell me what happened, and I don't want you to spend a long time, I might say, can you tell me what happened in a nutshell? Like, just give me the summary. Give me the short story, all the facts in a nutshell. That's what those words, in a nutshell, mean. Now, let's talk a little more about those shells. They are usually hard to break open, right? Those shells are hard. Sometimes you have to use a tool. Unless you are a squirrel, you need some sort of tool or a device for cracking open the shells. And sometimes this is not very easy. In American English, the saying, a hard nut to crack, means that something was hard to understand. It can also describe an individual, meaning a person, whose actions are perplexing. Remember we said perplexing is confusing? Why did she do that? What is he doing? How are they going to fix that? Okay, so if you see a person doing something that you think, that's weird, why are they doing that? Their actions are perplexing. They are confusing to you. You're like, she is a hard nut to crack. Why is she doing that? The expression or the saying, those words, a hard nut to crack, can also describe someone who is simply difficult to deal with. Maybe her actions are confusing, or perhaps his behavior is unpredictable, or we simply don't know how to deal with them. So we can say she or he is a hard nut to crack. I know for me, when I had my children all close together. I had 3 teenagers in my house all at one time. And when my children were teenagers, I would say they were hard nuts to crack. It is sometimes hard to understand your children when they are maybe between 15 and 17 years old. Sometimes their actions were a little confusing to me. You can use this expression for people, for problems, and for situations that are difficult to understand, to solve, or to deal with. Like today, people might say that the coronavirus is really a hard nut to crack. This is a very difficult situation because it is hard. We need to figure out how will we help with our economy? How will we work with getting a vaccine for this virus? How will we have enough beds in the hospitals? How will we have enough doctors and nurses and healthcare workers? There is just many, many situations and layers. If the children cannot go to school, how will we have enough computers for people? There's just so many different things. It is really a hard nut to crack. And we want this to go away. There's so many different ideas about it. It is a hard nut to crack. When we use the expression, we can say tough instead of hard. You can say it is a tough nut to crack. Okay, the English language has some great words that mean the same thing. You can say mysteries. When things are hard to understand, it is a mystery. We don't understand it. It is a mystery. You can say it is a riddle, and it is an enigma. All those things are hard nuts to crack. All right, there is more to this story, just a little bit more, and gives a little bit of story about Winston Churchill in 1939. Now, I'm going to let you listen to the rest of this, and I'm going to show you that. Let me move myself out of the way. I will just start it. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
And now, words and their stories from VOA Learning English. During autumn in many parts of the United States, you can watch squirrels gathering nuts for the winter. The squirrel puts the nut in its mouth, runs to a place it considers safe, digs a hole, and then drops the food in the ground. Hopefully, the animal will remember where it hid the nut weeks later.
Okay, so you see, they don't read too fast, and you can push pause. If your children need you, or you're busy, you get a phone call, you can just push pause. You can push pause, then you can go back if you need to. You can take it back to the beginning, start again. You can hear it again and again so that you can do it. Then you can practice reading it. Okay, all of this will improve your reading. It will improve your understanding too. So I didn't read the whole thing because I want you to be able to do this again yourself and read it and practice that. All right, so when we meet together on Thursday, we will do some where you can practice reading aloud. And we will practice using those words too. Now, I wanted to show you what they mean by riddles. All right, here are some examples of riddles. Okay, so these are some very simple riddles. I will show you some riddles without the answers there. But Here are some riddles for your children. You can practice with them. What are 2 things you can never eat for breakfast? And these are good riddles for children. 2 things you can never eat for breakfast. You can never eat lunch and dinner. Do you see what I mean? These are a type of joke for children. You can never eat lunch or dinner. Okay, here is one, another riddle, number 2. This is a type of riddle where they just make a sentence like this. They say, I can fill up a room, but I take up no space. What am I? What is something that can fill up a room, but it takes up no space? Okay, and they gave the answer as light. Can you think of something else that fills up a room but takes up no space? I think there's more than one answer for this one. Here's another riddle. What is something that belongs to you, but other people use it more than you do? This is something that is yours, okay, but other people use it more than you do. Okay, so the answer for that one was your name. It belongs to you, right? But other people use it more than you do. All right, so those are just examples of riddles. They have whole books of riddles like that that are just types of jokes for kids, or a lot of times parents will tell kids jokes like this. Maybe you have these in your country too, but these might be good for you to play around with in English because you're not used to doing them in a language that's not your own language. But when they used that in this story, they did not use the word riddle in that same way. They used the word riddle to talk about things that were hard to understand, more serious things. All right, so it can be used both ways. Now, when we meet together on Thursday at 3:30 or Friday at 9:30 in the morning, we also will do some working on phrasal verbs and a little bit of grammar, but you don't need to do anything to prepare for that. I just wanted to give you a little bit of some reading and some vocabulary to be able to practice before our Zoom time together. All right, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you, I hope, on Zoom. Have a great week. See you then. Bye.